it's no secret nowadays. People are talking about Facebook advertising and how powerful it can be to target the right audience. But what does that really mean? How can you leverage your big data within your company? How can you leverage your email list, customer database in order to really target the right audience? So rather than speaking at a very high level, I thought I would actually jump into some of the platforms and actually show you. So now, if you're an advanced Facebook marketing person, this is going to be elementary for you. Even if you've kind of dabbled a little bit, you would have seen this screen in your kind of Facebook building, Facebook Business Manager, or in building it. But what I want to do is actually go through some of the audiences that you can create to really show the capabilities that actually are there, and hopefully get your mind thinking about how you can leverage some data that you have, or some of your audience and engagement that you've already gotten, or even some things like video views. So this is Facebook Business Manager that we're looking at right now. And I have some of the audiences in my account here, our Sidi.io account. And you would get here by clicking on this drop down, or from the main screen, you would click on audiences. So you can click on this drop down, you would go to audiences, and that's where you would get to this screen. And on this screen, you have the ability to create what are called custom audiences. Okay. Now, the way you would do that is actually clicking on this drop down, and you have different options here. So custom audiences, which we're going to look at today. We have lookalike audiences, which I'll explain in a very high level. Special ad audiences are for certain categories like employment and politics, and some of the ones where there's a little bit more regulation because of some of the pushback Mr. Zuckerberg and team at Facebook have been receiving. So there's a little bit of a special execution there. And then saved audiences are audiences that you save within your account, which you've built out based on interest and demographics, etc. Okay. So what we're looking at today is custom audiences, because that's really where you can get granular in the type of audience that you're serving ads to. So just to be clear, when we create these audiences, then we serve ads. We're serving ads on Facebook, on the news feed, on Instagram in the news feed. It can be in Messenger. It can be on what's called the audience network. So if you're reading articles, etc., this is where the ads would show up. Okay. So what we're doing is we're actually looking at custom audiences that we can create that are essentially smart audiences. Okay, so the first one, which is very important, is probably the most important, is called website, and website. It's a website custom audience. So there's a little piece of code called the Facebook Pixel, and that Facebook Pixel, which you can get from this screen, and maybe I'll do another video on that, but you can get the Facebook Pixel from within your Facebook Business Manager, and you would place that on your website. It's a piece of code. You would put it on your WordPress site or your Shopify site, or if you have a custom site, you can get your developer to put it on there. And the purpose of putting this piece of code on your website is that often people are logged into Facebook when they're surfing the internet. So when they come to your website, we're essentially going to tag that person. And what's going to happen is we're going to leave a little cookie in their browser. And as they go around the internet, it's actually collecting information on their interests, behaviors, on their demographics. And we're essentially compiling that information into our ad account here so that we can use it to target this audience with ads in the future. So that's kind of one iteration of why you would have the pixel on your website. And then there's other reasons, which include tracking conversions and creating lookalike audiences, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So you'll want to get if you don't have it on your website, you'll want to get it on there. Then what we can do is we can actually create an audience based on people who have visited your website. So you can say, hey, I want to target people who visited my website in the last 30 days and then serve ads to them. And what happens is, they'll visit your website, they'll get interested in, one of the things that they'll see one of the items on your website, and then, they'll come back to Facebook and they'll be served an ad to kind of keep your business top of mind. Right? So that's really cool. You can even do things like you can target people who visited specific web pages on your site. You can do it by visitors, by time spent. So if you think people have been there for 2-3 minutes, they're more engaged, you can serve ads to them. And you can also do it from different events. So events are essentially milestones that if they reach a certain page on your website, then ultimately we would, if they reach certain pages on your website, then we would tag them for that reason. So okay, so let's move on to another audience here. But essentially, you can do it based on different the amount of days, and it's really quite powerful to actually move people down the funnel. You might have someone that visited a blog post, and then you want to retarget them with an offer. This is how you would do it. It's called retargeting, essentially. Another audience that you would create or you could create is based on a customer list. So you might have a client database, you might have an email list, or some other type of list of your customers, and you want to maybe serve specific ads to your customer base or to your email list. And this can be obviously very powerful for retention, getting people who are on your email list who are already engaged and sending a promotion to their Facebook news feed. And this is very powerful. So yeah, what you would do is essentially get this template, and you'd match it up, email, phone number, first name, last name, city, all of these types of things. You can even import it from MailChimp directly. So this is actually very powerful, because now what you're going to be doing is creating an audience of people on your email list or your customer database, and then serving ads directly to them on their Facebook newsfeed, on Instagram, on the audience network, and different executions. So that's very powerful. Probably these two are, in my opinion, are like the most powerful, obviously. Well, it's not obvious, but I'm telling you. So website and customer list, these are super powerful. These are people that are already engaged. They know who you are, and we're continuing to engage them. App activity. So if you run a mobile app or a mobile game, there's a way that you can get the Facebook pixel on there, on the mobile SDK, and that this is a similar type of thing. So someone visits your mobile app, then you can kind of target them with ads on Facebook, essentially, right? So that's pretty powerful too. Haven't done a whole lot of this, to be honest, but it's pretty much the same execution as the website, to be honest. So and very powerful as well. Offline activity. So you might be thinking, okay, like what would an offline activity be? So essentially, what you would do is you create offline events, and we can just click here. So offline events, you can essentially measure real world outcomes. So this might be things like purchases at your store. It helps you measure the effectiveness of your advertising. You can measure things like return on the ad spend. So this basically what we'll do is you would upload this list, you create this audience, and then if someone saw your ad and then made a purchase, it would reconcile that with their Facebook profile and be able to show you that, hey, look, Bob clicked on your ad and then made a purchase at your store, essentially, right? So this is also very powerful. And offline activities, if you have a brick and mortar store, this is something you definitely want to be tracking, right? It's super powerful. And then, so these are your sources. Then we have Facebook sources, right? So Facebook sources would be things that happen on Facebook, obviously. So video is one of them, and you can actually select different videos. You can say like people who view 3 seconds of a video, 10 seconds, 25%, 50%, and then put them into an audience that you can target later. And then you can also do it like by video specifically as well. So that's super cool as well, right? So you can choose the specific videos, and very powerful stuff there, right? You can also go over the last 365 days, 30 days, 90 days. There's reasons why you would want to select a certain time frame. Mostly it's your customer's buying journey and how long it takes for them to make a decision. All those videos that you've put online, you can now use the information in terms of people that have watched those videos to target them for ads for different campaigns. Very powerful. Instagram engagers. So these are people that have liked, commented, shared on your Instagram profile, people that have engaged with your business. Anyone who visited your business profile on Instagram, you would need it at a business profile on Instagram in order for this to work. It won't work with a personal account. People who engage with any post or ad, people who sent a message to your business profile, people who saved any post or ad. So there's reasons why you would want to select either these different ones. If you're small and you're starting out, you would probably want to do everyone who engaged, because if you're smaller and you select one of the last two here, you may not have a big enough audience. And that's always going to be the battle with any of these audiences, is making sure that the quality is strong, but also that the quantity is also big as well. Because the last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time building a campaign for very few people, unless it's a high ticket item, right? So so that's Instagram profile, business profile. You can also do lead forms. So there's some ads whereby there's some campaign types where you can actually have it set up so that when they click on the ad, it actually, instead of driving traffic to a website, it'll like pop open a lead form, and directly within Facebook, they can kind of press a few buttons and then it'll like submit the lead on there. So when you run a campaign like that, then you will have the ability to use the information about the people that have interacted, engaged with that form to create a new audience. Okay, so you have to run a campaign using a lead form in order to leverage this. Okay, so you could do anyone who opened this form, people who opened but didn't submit the form, people who opened and submitted the form. You can go different time frames. The maximum time is 90 days in this case. Very, very, very powerful. So why you would want to select one of these, people who opened and submitted the form, maybe they submitted it for, a discount and they haven't come into the store. So you would want to, or like made the purchase. So you'd want to like retarget them. So you'd create an audience of those people and say something like, hey, don't forget to use your coupon, right? People who opened it but didn't submit the form, you'd want to kind of get them, hey, last chance to get the coupon, right? So there's different reasons. You have to kind of think about the psychology of why you would be using these different executions. But if you're thoughtful about it, and you take a step back and look at, okay, at a customer journey, how are they thinking? You can be very strategic about how you approach this. Okay, events. So if you've ever seen different events, for example, events on Facebook, where it says like going, interested, that type of thing. So over the years, you may have been invited to events, or see them in your news feed, or people invite you. To be honest, events the engagement's not as high. Like if you go into your events section on Facebook right now, I'm sure there's like hundreds of invites that you haven't like even seen. So what you would want to do is there's event campaigns that you can do if you're a business to make sure that the event shows up in people's news feed, and that increases engagement. And then for the people that have engaged with an event that's being put out by your page, we can create a custom audience of people who have responded going or interested, people who have responded that they're going or just interested. You can target anyone who's visited the event page, people who have engaged, which usually means liked, commented, or shared, that's exactly what it is. People who have engaged with tickets. So maybe, like the event page can like integrate with Eventbrite and ticket like distribution channels as well. So you can basically engage with anyone who's you can target anyone who's engaged with that. So, going back to the whole psychology thing, for people who have responded or going or interested, you might create an audience of those people, target with them with buy the ticket. For people who have engaged with the tickets already, you might say like, hey, don't forget to get the ticket, or, here's an extra 10% off, or what have you, right? You can even target people who have already purchased tickets, being like, hey, don't forget to come, don't forget to share it with your friend, referral discount, what have you. And then there's also people who had the intention of purchasing the ticket. So, Facebook's algorithm can track, maybe they clicked it twice, or maybe they clicked over to the ticketing website. And so Facebook can kind of tell someone at what stage they're at. This is obviously pretty powerful because if they had the intention of purchasing but haven't, then you'll definitely want to target those people. And this is an audience you can create to do that. Instant experiences. So an instant experience is really, it's kind of like a mini landing page that you can build on Facebook. So when someone clicks on it, it would open like this little mini landing page, instant experience. This is a newer thing. You may not have seen many of these. It's when I say new, it's like in the last year, but it hasn't like super taken off. So if anyone's engaged with it in any capacity, like say you've run a campaign with an instant experience, a mini landing page native within Facebook, and then they've opened it or engaged with it in some capacity, you can create an audience of those people. That's essentially what it is. And then one of the most powerful ones, Facebook page is definitely a powerful one. Videos, and another obviously powerful one. Instagram. It's Facebook. They're all pretty powerful if they're done the right way. So Facebook page. So if someone's engaged with your Facebook page, then you can target them. anyone who visited your page, people who engaged with any post or ad, people who clicked on any call to action button, people who sent a message to your page, people who saved your page or any post. So any of those items there, you can create an audience of people who have done that action and then target only those people. Again, like I warned you before earlier, make sure that if you select something, you might think, man, anyone who sent a message to your page is like super qualified. Yes, but there might not be that many if you're a smaller company. So just make sure you're balancing quantity and quality. That's always the challenge. And also, the dates as well. Someone 364 days ago that clicked on your page once, they may not remember you, right? So do you really want to waste ad budget on them? I don't know, right? So there are situations, like depending on what your goals are for the campaign, there is a reason you would target 365 days, and there's reasons why you would target like 5 days. Like one of the campaigns that we've had running for like 2 years, it targets people who have engaged with the page in the last 5 days, and it works really well. So you want to be mindful of that as well. So, very exciting, very exciting. So these are the audiences that can be made using Facebook. So if you were curious about that, hopefully I've satisfied your curiosity in some capacity. As I mentioned initially, if you're a Facebook marketer, or if you're even like savvy, if you're on the savvier side, you'd be very familiar with this. If you're a business owner who hasn't done Facebook ads, or you have done Facebook ads but have left it to someone else, well, now you know what the capabilities are, right? Or if you're someone that's just dabbled into Facebook marketing, these are some of the audiences that you can create. This is why Facebook is so powerful of a platform, because you can really leverage data to target people in their news feeds. The really cool thing is you can also layer additional targeting on top of these audiences. So for example, you might, like if your website traffic is big enough, you might say, hey, I want to target anyone that's visited my website in the last 30 days. And say, for example, that the demographics, interests, and behaviors are a specific audience segment within the grand scheme of your website, you would layer on additional targeting to make sure that you're isolating just that audience, right? Very, very powerful stuff. The other audience that I just want to take 1 second here to show you is lookalike audiences. So a lookalike audience is very powerful. Very, very, very powerful, okay? And the reason it's very powerful is because using lookalike audiences, we can essentially now take any of the custom audiences that we just built through the platform that I just showed you. We can take any of those audiences and create a lookalike of them. Now, what I mean by lookalike is if your website has 10,000 visitors a month and we just created a custom audience of those 10,000 people, Facebook, when we create a lookalike, we're going to take that to those 10,000 people and we're going to analyze the demographics, interest, behaviors. I think there's like 10,000 different traits. We're going to analyze those different traits of your 10,000 website visitors, okay? Then what's going to happen is we're going to take the average of those people, and a targeting is going to emerge. This lookalike targeting is going to emerge. And then we can take that targeting and target new people who look and think and act exactly like your sample audience, your 10,000 website video visitors, or if you created a video custom audience, the people that look like your video audience, or if it was an event audience, the people that look like your event audience. You see where I'm going with this, right? So very powerful. So let's just, for a little bit of fun here, maybe I can, I'm going to take one here if we can. So this is a Bytown Ball Hockey. This is a league I ran, Ball Hockey League we ran years ago. And then what you can do is you can select an event with a value. So you can go purchase if you want to optimize for purchases. You can also optimize for other events as well. When I'm saying optimize, what I mean is like you can select people who are at a certain stage. So if someone made a purchase on your website, you're essentially choosing those people, okay? You can even just do like someone who visited your website, okay? And what you want to do is you want to select the audience. So, say we go Canada here. So what it's going to do is going to take your 10,000 website visitors, and it's going to select, it's going to find people who look, think, and act like your 10,000 website visitors across Canada. Now, you might be thinking, but I just want to target Ottawa, or Ontario or Vancouver or Calgary or what have you. Don't worry, because when you're actually building the ads, you'll be able to layer on geographic targeting on top of this Canada audience that's being created, okay? Then you might be looking below and thinking, hey, what is this? So there are degrees to which you can create a lookalike audience. So what I mean by that is, if there are 10,000 people in your sample audience and we select 1% of a lookalike, what it's going to do is going to find these 257, it's an estimate, 257,000 people who look, think, and act like your existing audience. If we take it all the way to the extreme, which is 10%, we're going to target 2.5 million people who look and think and act exactly like the 10,000 website visitors. Now, the difference here is that, as I'm sure you can imagine, those 2.5, 2.6 million people are going to be less similar than the 1% audience. The 1% audience is smaller, but it's higher quality, right? So you're going to have 250,000 people who are most similar from a lookalike perspective to your website visitors. And then you can choose degrees of it. As you move up, you can get up to 4%, 1 million people, 6%, 5%, 6%. So you might be thinking, why are there different ranges? Why don't I choose just 1%? So this is getting a bit advanced, but what you would typically want to do is create multiple audiences, right? And then split test these different audiences against each other, because the 1% might be the strongest from a quality perspective, but there might be people in the 3% audience who would buy, and because they're less similar and it's a bigger audience, and when you do the split testing, it actually might be a lower cost per acquisition, or like cost per lead, right? So you would want to split test these so you can say, and I've been surprised, sometimes the 1% doesn't get the most, right? Or it gets the most, but it's so expensive that you think you might as well go for the 7%, get a lower cost per lead, get a higher volume. So anyways, I'm kind of getting off a bit sidetracked there, but that's what a lookalike audience is. And that's what's super powerful about Facebook. Some other advanced things that you would do is once you've kind of exhausted the 1%, you might exclude the 1% lookalike from your campaigns. You would, layer additional targeting on top of this. You would, obviously exclude purchases. If you're doing e-commerce, you would do this, or do a custom audience and exclude purchases. So there's a lot of including and excluding you can do to really become super, scientific. I forget the word I'm looking for, but like surgeon, what is that? Anyways, I'm gonna remember as soon as I stop recording. So so surgical audience creation, TM. Okay, so that is custom audiences and lookalike audiences. So if you are dabbling with Facebook ads, or you're like, hey, what's all this talk about Facebook ads? What's really powerful? I should just do Google. People search and I come up, and that's that's good. Well, this is very powerful in a whole different way. And when you start combining things like custom audiences with doing lookalikes, custom audiences, and having people at different stages of funnels, very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. So thank you for taking the time to watch. If you run a company and you're struggling with your Facebook marketing, your social media marketing on Facebook, Google, Bing, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc., etc., etc. We mostly focus on PPC. Check us out, Sidi.io, Sidi.io. And you might be thinking, man, this is crazy. This is I didn't realize how powerful. Because you know what? Out of the box, Facebook wants you to spend money with them, so they limit the options that you have available to you, right? So they say, hey, boost this campaign. You click that button, you're like, hey, I'm boosting, and you select just ages and there's 4 or 5 fields, right? So it's like Facebook wants you to do that, right? They want you to waste your money, to be honest, because they realize that the more they want to find that balance between getting you good results and also making sure that you don't know all the bells and whistles, so that there's kind of still some buffer on the table. So yes, if you've dabbled in this, take it to the next level, bring in a team like ours, or if you're going to do this yourself, make sure you're doing it right, because to be honest, there's agencies like mine, there's really savvy marketers out there that are competing against your ads, and they're going to win if they're doing all the stuff that I'm showing you here, right? So be smart about it. And don't just assume that, because it says boost a post and you click a few buttons that it's you might be thinking, hey, what is Sidi.io? What do these Facebook agencies really do? Well, this is only one minor part of it, right? There's conversion tracking, making sure that the pixels are effectively on your site set up correctly, actually building the campaigns and monitoring and optimizing. Split testing is a whole other part of it. I'm going to save that for another video probably. But yeah, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it. Looking forward to hearing about some amazing Facebook campaigns that you have built for your business. And I look forward to hearing any feedback from you. Comment below, like this, share it, tag someone who you think wants to learn about Facebook marketing on your team, and make sure to check out Sidi.io for all your online marketing needs.